So let's kick things off. Like I said, super excited to have Stephanie as a guest. I've known her for a few years now. I've had a chance to get to know her through Mining Philly and Kyrie Terrell. But I've become a follower. You know, you end up coming across these people in your life that, like, not only do you maybe be able to do work with them or you have just a mutual respect, but like you start to like follow the stuff that they do and you're like, everything they do is pretty awesome and it's informative and, you know, you're benefiting just from being in their circle. And Steph is definitely one of those people. I'm going to embarrass her right quick and read her bio. I'm going to tell you this right now. When you see this come on the screen, this is a shortened bio. All right. When I tell you how much this woman does, this was me like ripping half of that away and just giving you some top stuff. I'm going to read this right quick. Just listen and hear some of what we have to bring to you today. So TechLifeSteph, she is a technology and lifestyle expert. So Stephanie Humphrey is a former engineer who merges her passion for lifestyle media with an in-depth tech expertise to show everyday people how empowering, enriching, and fun technology can be. Stephanie is driven by the sole purpose of connecting people, particularly those in underrepresented communities and technology, with the tech know-how to transform their worlds. Stephanie is a technology contributor for ABC News, Good Morning America, and has been a regular on-air contributor to Fox 29's Good Day Philadelphia since 2012. She spent 2 years as the technology contributor to daytime talk show The Harry Show, hosted by Harry Connick Jr. Stephanie was a frequent guest on News One with Roland Martin, and has also contributed her tech life expertise to other national media outlets, including Al Jazeera America, HuffPost Live, thegrio.com, and blackenterprise.com. Helping students is a passion that drives Stephanie, and she has channeled this motivation into a seminar called Till Death Do You Tweet. First off, your titles are awesome, Stephanie. I'm just throwing it out there. It's key.
Thank you.
The seminar, tailored to either students, parents, or professionals, helps them understand the potential negative consequences of online behavior, especially through social media, and gives helpful advice on how people can maintain a positive reputation in cyberspace. Her new book, Don't Let Your Digital Footprint Kick You in the Butt, again, one of them titles. There you go. She's showing it off right there. That expands on these concepts, and that's currently available on Amazon. So you guys can go to Amazon.com right now and purchase Don't Let Your Digital Footprint Kick You in the Butt. Yes. Stephanie's expertise is built upon more than a decade as a senior systems engineer at Lockheed Martin and engineering degrees from Florida A&M University and the University of Penn. So that is who we have here to speak with you today. Basically, the most awesome person in all of tech content is with us. So again, welcome, Steph.
Thank you. Thank you. I will do my best to live up to everything in the bio there, man.
Hey, you're already doing it.
It's a lot of pressure.
You're already doing it, but this is actually going to be a fun day, and we're going to make this really, really easy. We're really just going to go through a bunch of apps and technology that Stephanie recommends, whether it be she uses it personally herself or she just knows a lot about it and is suggesting it for businesses. We're going to kind of run just through all those different options that she's kind of identified. But first, I just wanted to chat with y'all right quick about technology in this year because it's interesting. You know, I think we're at a point where a lot of people make excuses as to why they don't get involved with technology, and that stuff just kind of needs to stop. And I get it when it relates to other things outside of your business. Technology bothers me a lot. I hate how much Facebook knows about my life and how they're telling this to advertisers, and they're targeting me very well. I've bought quite a few things off of social media in the past few months, and that bothers me a little bit. I don't like it. But when it comes to like using technology to help me grow my business or to help me manage a business without having employees, I can use some technology to handle some of these things without having to spend even more money to hire. Sometimes you just have to use technology in those facets to grow, and don't not do it because you're anti-technology or you hate the way it's advancing. Kevin, you can definitely speak to this point because I know Navitas, or I should say the Homer Group, has been doing websites since websites started, but I compared it to this being in the 1990s where businesses were like, I don't need a website. You know, I don't worry about it. Don't sell me this thing on the worldwide whatever. I don't need it. And they clearly did. I don't really know of any successful business right now that doesn't have one. And then you fast forward, we're getting into the early 2000s. All those businesses that said they didn't need a website, now they got a website. And now they're fighting technology again. They're saying social media, I don't need social media. It's for the kids. I don't need that to grow my business. And if you look today, it's hard to find a reputable business that's not on some social media platform, whether it's LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, one of those big four or others. So, my overall message, get with the program. It's 2020. Technology is here to help you. And in relation to your business, we all need all the help we can get. So let's start using these apps. Let's embrace technology and, grow our businesses. Kevin, do you agree with me on all that? Do you think people have been bugging?
I don't say this too often, Zach, but I agree with you. You nailed it. I think, going back to the point about the websites back in the 90s, I think, the marketing landscape is full of trends. And, sometimes it's hard to identify, what is something that's trendy and what's something that's going to be temporary versus, what is, the new way of doing business. As you said, we, back before Navitas was even Navitas, we were just the Homer Group, our printing company. We built our first website in 1994, and this was back when there weren't a lot of websites out there and there weren't a lot of developers out there. And, this was this new technology that came out, and, some businesses, jumped on board, and it was a risk they took. We didn't know if that was just, something trendy or if this was going to be the new way of conducting business. But the ones that got involved faster were the ones that, jumped ahead, quicker, more successfully. You brought up the social media. Obviously social media was important for, for individuals first, and even with Facebook. Facebook, a lot of us know, came out as a product just for college students, and it wasn't even available to all college students. They rolled it out slowly to specific schools, and then they opened it up to everybody, and then they opened it up to businesses. And I think a lot of businesses said, well, this is somewhere where people go to have fun. There's no place on Facebook for businesses. And, some of them jumped on earlier, some of them jumped on later, and some of them still haven't even gotten with the program yet. But we all understand what the importance is, even if they haven't gotten involved. And, sometimes it's, getting involved in technology just because it's going to drive more business to our brand. And sometimes it's using technology to do things more efficiently within our brand. And, if we're making things easier on ourselves, then, that's got some value also. And I think that's what, we're probably about to get into is, some of those tips and tools just to help, make our jobs easier as business owners, as marketing people, as, whatever it is you're doing for your particular business.
For sure. And really interesting thing to tell folks, even if you think you're tech savvy, there's still technology out there that you do not know about. Yeah. 100%. I consider myself fairly up to date with things that could help my business grow. And just putting together these slides, I came up on 2 apps that I'm going to use that I had no clue about. So keep that in mind. A lot of these things can help you. And you're seeing on the screen right now some of the categories in these areas that Steph is going to give us right now. I call these ones TechLifeSteph tested because these are apps that she actually uses, whether it be past or present. She has used these apps and this technology to help her business. So she's speaking from some pretty good experience with these. And the first one we got up here is in the category of accounting and invoicing. And you gave us this one, Wave. Steph, tell us about Wave. What is that?
Wave is awesome. Wave is invoicing software, bookkeeping software, expense tracking software, all kind of rolled up into one. But the thing I like about it, because, I am what they call the solopreneur, I'm sort of a team of one. So don't let the TV fool you. Budgets are still very limited in what I'm doing. and Wave is free. So, to be as robust as it is and to offer as much as it does for free is just amazing to me. I can't say that I'm, intimately familiar with QuickBooks or FreshBooks or anything like that, but I imagine they do a lot of the same things. And, obviously you're paying for a few more features, but, for my, purposes right now, and how I, invoice customers, how I'm tracking payments, and again, taking pictures of receipts and different things, like for the things that I need to do, this gets it done, and gets it done in a really, slick user interface, gets it done very easily with different templates, and it gets the job done, again, for free. So, that is really, honestly, the primary impetus for me using it. But again, the interface is really, really well done, really intuitive, very easy to use. If you haven't been using any sort of accounting software before, you've been sending out, PDF invoices or paper or whatever, and you want to sort of start making that transition little by little, and don't want to make a big investment, in
Right.
some huge piece of software just yet, until you're sure, that this is the direction you want to go in. Wave is a great way to start. And I will say this about all of these apps, and about this conversation in general, the best apps for your business are the ones you use. You get all excited about the new latest and greatest and whatever. Zach, you and I were just talking about this neat scanner that's sitting here collecting dust on my second shelf here. So, you get excited about that new toy, that shiny new thing, and then, the hottest trendy whatever, and you download it, and you have all these great intentions on how it's going to change and revolutionize and grow your business. But if you're not using it, it's not going to be able to do any of those things. So,
Right.
you really want to be, mindful, because it is overwhelming. I do this for a living, and it's overwhelming for me. I'm just trying to keep up and being inundated, and the added pressure of everybody thinking everything about everything, and it's just like, I do, and I can help you, I promise. However, cut me some slack. So it's like, you really want to be mindful about, where in your business you think some level of automation, because that's really what a lot of this stuff is doing. It's allowing
Right.
us to automate our lives, and offload some of those things that we do most often, to some sort of software or some sort of process. So, think about those areas that need it the most, prioritize those things, and just start with that. So make it a really gradual and iterative process, instead of saying, I'm going to redo my entire way of doing business with all these brand new tech tools that I just heard on this, webinar,
Right.
today. That's really not going to help you at all. You'll get very frustrated very easily,
Right.
and you're going to abandon most of that very quickly as well. So, find those one or two things that you're like, man, I wish there was a better way to do this. I mean, honestly, that's how I come up with most of my content. That's how I, if I'm struggling with something, I'm like, man, I wish there was a way to put these things in this spreadsheet, but then that's what I start researching. How do I put some stuff in spreadsheets quicker? And when you find that tool, then you're more likely to use it. So, as we're going through these, I would just encourage anybody watching to really be selective, and pick and choose the areas where you need the most help, and don't feel compelled to adopt all of this technology at once.
Right. Right. And one question I have about Wave, and to that point, as we go through these, anyone watching, whether you're on Zoom or on Facebook, just throw your questions in the comments or in the chat function here, and we'll ask them to Steph, and answer them right here on the webinar. Quick question about Wave. You mentioned receipts. So is it kind of like my bank app, where I would scan a check to deposit it? Can I just scan a receipt and now it's in my profile, I guess?
Yeah, you could take a picture. I'm still testing that feature, but if I don't like the fact that they've made it a separate app. So, the Wave desktop platform is sort of all inclusive, but then there's two separate apps for, a matter of fact, let me just look on my phone right quick, for accounting and for receipts, which I'm not sure, the invoicing part of it and the receipts part of it are two separate apps. And I don't know why they felt like they had to do that, but it does allow you to take pictures of the receipts and then import that data back into, the bookkeeping side of it on the
Gotcha. Gotcha. So Wave is one of those apps I mentioned that I downloaded after I saw this. So I'm going to try it out. I use Street Invoice right now. which gives me the ability to invoice, but it doesn't really do the receipt stuff. So I'm going to test Wave out.
And you can also do your payments. You can do your payments on Wave. You can set up, payment for credit cards. You can connect your bank account, like it really is, like I said, for what my needs were, because I did research the QuickBooks and the FreshBooks and all that stuff. And for what my needs were at this moment, this got it done. And again, for free 99. So that was like, all right, let's roll with Wave for now.
Well, speaking about free 99, my favorite, Canva.
Oh my goodness. I love Canva. Me and Canva got a thing going on. Seriously. Like I've done so much. We talked about, freelance projects. I have done a few different electronic press kits for folks, flyers, anything you see on my social that looks like it was created in something was done in Canva. Like,
right.
I did a live, what's today? Thursday. I did a live on Tuesday for the book. And from like last Thursday through Tuesday, I posted a different graphic on social to promote it and to remind people about it. And they were all Canva graphics, just cute little animated, the words float in over top of the photo and this and that and the third. But it is a really, really, because I don't really consider myself creative. Like I can't conceptualize things just in my own head. Right. But if I have a template, I can flip a template, left, right, and sideways and be like, ooh, that would look good if the color was this and it had this picture instead of that picture in that place. So like the fact that, Canva is just basically a template repository for any sort of asset that you think you might want to create is amazing to me, because it solves that initial problem of what do I want to, like my brother's an artist and he just in his head is just, ridiculously dope, pictures that he can translate onto a piece of paper or whatever. But I don't feel like I have that skill to get that initial impression of what I would want something to look like. But again, if I see the inspiration in a template, I can completely change the template to fit my needs and make it look, professional and all of that. But it just gives me that little spark of creativity to get me going with all of my digital assets, and literally all of that.
I think that's probably the same for a lot of small business owners that don't have a creative background. That doesn't mean they couldn't use Canva to create something that looks professional and clean. I tell folks a lot of times it's really that cleanliness of what you're putting out that can really give that proper impression of your business. And, in a lot of cases, it is maybe advised to go with a graphic designer. Maybe if you're creating your logo or, there's a template.
They have logo templates in Canva too, though.
Do.
I don't know.
They do.
They have everything. They got everything.
Here's what makes me mad is, what'd you say?
No, go ahead. What were you going to say?
I'll say what makes me mad is I don't want to create a logo and then see somebody else got a similar logo and we're like, all right, he created in Canva just like I did.
You was on Canva too, wasn't you?
I don't like that.
That's why you gotta massage it a little bit. You don't want to just take the stock thing that's there, but you use that for your inspiration. But that's and going back to your initial slide about, no excuses. Like literally, you don't have any excuses these days to not have a logo, because everybody's not going to have, $1,500 to give to a graphic designer to design something for them, or, their flyers or their pamphlets or their brochures. And there's no excuse for half-assing it, pardon my French, in Word and having, paragraphs out of alignment. And because, we've all seen it. We've all seen those flyers with different fonts and different paragraphs and just looking raggedy. I'm just going to keep it all the way real. Just looking real raggedy. There's no excuse for that anymore, because Canva is also free. I use the paid version because there's a couple little extra features in the paid version that I find that I need more over and over and over again. But you do not need the paid version. You can do a ton in Canva for free. So there really, really is not any excuse anymore to be showing up, passing out business cards that look like, you drew them in crayon, and handing out flyers that, like I said, got all out of alignment because it looked one way on your screen, but then when you saved it in Word, it was actually offset by an inch, and there's no excuse for that anymore. There's really not. Right.
Well, and I'm going to cut in with kind of the the compromise version. We talked about obviously how you can use some of those pre-built templates, and then an alternative is of course paying a graphic designer and putting some big dollars into it. As a branding agency, we're obviously not a big fan of having those pre-built templates and pre-designed templates because yes, there is value to saving time and saving money, but at the end of the day, just because you added your colors and your fonts doesn't really mean you're building a brand per se.
Mm-hmm.
However, we use Canvas sometimes, and what we like to do is we will design those original templates. So instead of using a template that's already in there that, there could be 50 other businesses using those same templates, we will design templates that are made specifically for your brand or his brand or whoever.
Nice.
And now you have those templates to use that truly are yours. And you can use them at volume as you create your social media graphics and brochures and whatever it is you may be doing. So that's kind of the compromise sometimes, that you can still really get that personalized brand, but still use that template ability to to really churn out some some pretty good designs. Canva is a cool tool. So obviously there are certain things that we do use the Adobe suite, the Photoshop and InDesign, and and you really don't have a choice. I mean, you need that top level design, but there are definitely things even as a branding agency, we use Canva. It's a great tool.
But that makes a lot of sense too, because that is like the sweet spot there. Because a lot of people, even with such an extensive, free tool, still, again, if you're not going to use it, it doesn't benefit you. But, if you could go, to a company like yours, say, look, set me up with templates for, flyers, for social, for letterhead, for, envelopes, and get that logo popping. And now I have it. So I can go back to Canva whenever I need it because it's already loaded. And now all I need to do is change the date on something, or change the discount on the sale, or whatever. Then that makes it all the easier. But I would ask you, Kevin, is something like that, if somebody was to come to you and say, set me up with a suite of Canva templates, is that pricing sort of commensurate with doing that whole kind of thing from scratch, like coming up with the brand, the logo, and doing it from scratch in like Photoshop, and like you said, Photoshop, InDesign? That's a whole different animal over there, because you're talking about hardcore graphic design at this point. Is the pricing that somebody would spend for sort of the Canva option a little bit easier to manage than the other option?
Yeah, definitely. It's a time saver on our end. So if we're spending less time, you're spending less money. And when Canva came out, I was pretty anti Canva. Hadn't actually checked it out, but I just knew, we're an agency and we've got high level graphic designers here, and we're being paid for top work. And Canva is something that, you need some level of creativity, obviously, but it's a tool that anybody can use. Doesn't mean you're gonna do a great job with it. You need that creativity also. But I felt like we were cheating, and I was like, no, we can't use this consumer tool as as an agency. And turns out I was wrong. I mean, there's definitely a place for it, even on our end. It's a very impressive tool, and just we use it even for ourselves. If we're churning out maybe like social media graphics, and there's a high volume of graphics for a certain client, sometimes Canva is just easier for us to use, even if we do have those high level tools. And then of course, if it's something that you want to be able to do as a non-designer, as a normal person, we can definitely go in, set up those templates, and you take it from there. And yes, it is easier for us to set up, which means its setup cost is a lot cheaper for you, and you can do it yourself going forward.
There you go. See, I love it. I love it. The pleasure
Win-win. Yep.
is. I never really thought about it that way because I was just so happy to be able to sort of DIY it myself. Oh my God, I
Yeah.
can just go. But the idea of having that sort of brand kit, if you will,
Yeah.
that is uniquely yours, but is still very easy to manipulate and modify if necessary is a great idea.
Exactly. Yeah. It's a nice compromise.
Indeed.
Cool.
Indeed. So we're going to move on to another app that I actually am going to start using.
You don't use a password manager?
So
Zach.
Steph, my password manager
Zach.
is a
Is your notebook?
a Google Sheets in my drive.
All right, I'm logging off. Bye. Seriously,
I'm
bruh,
sorry. I knew no better.
bruh.
Uh,
You are like take the knife out of my back right now. You are killing me.
I'm sorry.
Like you of all people should know
I
better,
got 94 passwords on that, John.
bruh.
All right, I'm using this though. I'm gonna shift over. Why should I use LastPass?
No, you are killing me. Like dead. Number one, because it's free. And do you see the theme here?
Yep.
Running through the stuff that I use. It's 256-bit encryption. It saves all. It's a place where all your passwords get saved safely and securely. You do choose the one master password that gets you into the vault, into the password vault. They don't save that. So if you forget it, they let you have a reminder. You can type yourself a little reminder, but if you can't remember it from that reminder, you are kind of asked out because they don't keep it and they won't be able to get into your vault if you don't have that master password.
They won't let you reset it through your email?
But you have to know what now. You have to know what it is. Like I said, once you create that master password, you can set a hint for yourself of what it is to remind you. But if that hint doesn't help you, you have to get all new passwords because they don't save it. They won't save it. They won't let you reset it unless you can only change it if you already know what it is. But that's the security part of it. And granted, password managers have been hacked in the past, but it is still the better option for you as you're saving those 96 passwords because it generates secure passwords for you. I just can't, there are no other combinations of my birth date and my hometown and my, my dog's name. And there are no other combinations of that I can hold in my brain right now.
Right.
So I have just resolved to let LastPass handle it. And it comes up with those really, intricate, you can actually set the feature for the number of characters you want in the password. So if you want 8 characters, if you want 12, if you want it to be something that you can kind of read, if it needs to have characters in it and numbers in it and uppercase letters and low, like however you need the password to look, you can create it there. And again, you save it there. You have the app on your phone. So anytime you're going into any of the apps on your phone that require a password, or if you're going to anything in your browser that requires a password, the app will automatically populate the field with your username and your password. If you're on a desktop, I use Chrome as my browser. So there's a Chrome extension that automatically populates all of the fields when you go to the websites that you save the passwords for. So you literally don't have to think about anything. Honestly, it just, when you create a new one. So if you go to some new website that requires a username and a password, the window will automatically pop up and ask you, do you want to save this in your LastPass vault? So now you have it in the vault and you can use it, and it syncs across the desktop and the phone. So it's right there in your mobile, if you need. I'm telling you, it's like anybody that is not using a password manager in 2020 is risking a lot of their personal information. You just are, because whatever you're thinking of in your head is somebody else will probably be able to figure that out and hack you. Honestly, it just and to make them unique for everything and like, so now you got 96 passwords. when you need a password to log into something, you have to refer to that Google Doc every time you need that password. And yes or no, like I'm asking.
So this is kind of a question. And I didn't want to ask too many questions. I know we got 8 more apps to get through, but I assume you're going to be highly against like the same password for multiple.
Zach.
Because like I don't have a lot of passwords to remember.
I just died again. you are breaking every.
Might be about 5 passwords.
You are breaking every internet security rule known to man.
I got a really good one, though. It's hard to get.
And don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I used to be you. I used to be, even as a tech expert and everything, I would change like the last 4 last 4 or something, because it's a lot to try to remember. You got a lot of different accounts, your bank, your this, that, Facebook, Twitter, it's a lot. So if you're trying to remember them and change them every 90 days or whenever they tell you need to update them, it's a losing proposition to try to hold all that information in your head. So let the technology do it for you. Seriously, I am almost completely, I shouldn't say it, I'm not completely reliant, but like I really don't know most of my passwords at this point, because I let LastPass generate these random unique, passwords, and I just save them, and then I just use LastPass to log in. So, I honestly don't even really see them. Like I see them in that moment when I copy and paste the password that I've generated. But once those little dots come up to mask what the password is, like I don't even see the password again. So if you were holding a gun to my head, I couldn't even tell you, how to get into any of my accounts, because I just use LastPass. So, it really, like, 1Pass is another good one. But again, a free, I don't even know what you get in their paid version, because they do have a paid version as well. I don't even know, what you would need beyond the free version, because literally all of my passwords are in there. It's well over 50 different accounts. And this is one of those things you need to do this one. Like you need to prioritize this one. If you're trying to decide, well, which of these am I going to try out first? This is the one you're going to try out first. Seriously.
And you know what? It's funny because sometimes when I do something new and they give you like a suggested strong password, I'm like, I'm not going to be able to remember all them. My middle name.
I ain't doing all that. Well, I don't do that either, but I don't do that because I don't want the browser to have my data saved.
Gotcha.
I don't want it saved in the browser, because Google's asking you to do that so they can save it. I don't need Google saving my stuff and knowing my passwords. So that's also where the password manager comes in, because you want this data to be unique to you. You want this to only be your data. Like literally no one else can see this data. Besides you, not even the people at the company. So just, especially a business owner that has sensitive customer information, banking information, like there's no way you should be using your kid's middle name and the year they were born to protect that kind of information.
Right.
Honestly,
Right.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
I was curious about that, Steph. If somebody gives you a password that already exists, can you add that into the LastPass app, or does it have to be generated itself?
Nope. You can add. You can go in and put all, like if you already have accounts set up and you're happy with those passwords, you can add those in and they'll be there when you need them the next time. Like I said, I just have begun to let LastPass generate it for me for any of the new accounts that I create. Just because I had been reusing and trying to remix, common words and names, like people. Oh man, come on, Zach. Zach.
So listen. I'm gonna apologize. Check in with me next Thursday. I will have a LastPass account.
I'm serious. I am going to hold you accountable on this
password. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what it is.
It's in my LastPass. My LastPass is going to do it.
To all folks who are watching on Facebook or on Zoom, please give us any questions you have. Just throw it in the comments. As you can see, we've only hit the first 3 apps, and there's some great information, some great stuff that even a tech savvy
we gotta hurry up.
about. So some more good stuff coming. Kevin, were you about to say something?
I was just going to say to anybody on Zoom or Facebook who's watching us live right now, we all know that Zach James is highly hackable, so go have at it. And to anybody who's watching us after the fact, either with the video embedded on our website or on YouTube, you took too long because we know that Zach will have signed up for LastPass.
That's it. And it's like you're just leaving yourself wide open, man.
And Kevin's making me wider open. Thank you, Kevin.
Yeah, it's extraordinarily easy for somebody to fish to get enough information to break into it.
Before we move on, I'm going to embarrass myself one more time because I did this twice. There's been 2 times where I decided not to download the app because they were trying to force me to make a special character, and I didn't want to put a special character because I knew I wasn't going to remember it.
Oh my gosh.
But listen, past that, cloud service. Let's go.
Me, bro. You're killing me. You're killing me, Smalls. Come on.
Let's go to cloud services, which I'm familiar with. Dropbox and OneDrive you have on here. Is there a reason why you suggested these 2, or just tell us the value?
There's a lot of them. OneDrive, if you have Microsoft Office, OneDrive comes with that, so it's free-ish. Right. Dropbox has, it's free up to, but Dropbox has really changed their model anymore. It's free-ish up to like 15 gigs of storage, which is almost nothing. And then you got to pay for that next tier, but it's still a good way Dropbox is a good way to transfer files between. But cloud storage in general is just good to have because you need access to your data at all times. And if you're not storing it in the cloud, you won't have that. I mean, you could do something, I forget the name and it's right on the tip of my tongue, the name of the app that lets you actually access the stuff on your desktop. But it's clunky. It takes a long time. The interface is real shady, and I think it'll come to me. But I've been places, out in the wild where somebody's like, can you send me that thing with that thing and do this thing with that? And I'm literally, doing hardcore computing on my smartphone, with the Google Drive or, Microsoft Word or, typing documents and creating and adding attachments and, all those things you would do on your desktop computer, but just needing to get it out to somebody ASAP and being able to pull that information as I need it from the cloud and use it, however you can't put a price tag on that. So again, and it's another relatively secure way to back data up as well. I mean, you should still be doing regular external hard drive dumps, every so often to back your machine up as well. But this is also another type of backup of the stuff on your computer. So, just the access is you can't beat the access because we need it. You need it. You're moving around, you're on the go, you don't want to get somewhere and someone says, oh, wow, that sounds great. Can you send me a proposal or send me the one sheet about that? And you're like, oh, shoot. It's on the hard drive on my computer at home. I can send it to you when I get home, who does that? So it's just like, you have to give yourself every opportunity to win. And that could be the difference between, getting that account and not getting it because, maybe they don't want to wait until you get home, or maybe it's going to get buried in their inbox and they'll never see it again. But having that instantaneous access, I think, is just invaluable.
Or worst case scenario, how many people in 2020 discovered that, all of a sudden you may need to access your files from a different location, possibly for a very extended period of time. So,
right.
Even if you never realized the value of it, just on the smaller scale of, like the examples you gave, Steph, with, being in someone's office or, being in a conversation right now, unfortunately, sometimes bigger disasters happen and, you really wish you had that stuff at your disposal.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And would you consider, so Google Drive is my go-to for everything.
Google Drive is that could have gone on here too. The entire G Suite could have gone on here too. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a Google Drive supporter. I've already upgraded my storage twice, and it wasn't that expensive, so that's why I like it. Like, I'm hitting.
Yep. Same.
I got 130 on mine.
I use all 3 of them. Yeah.
Yeah. So next we have on here. What'd you say, Steph?
No, I was just saying I use all 3 of them. So yeah.
Oh, you got a lot of stuff.
Wherever I need to pull it from.
And you don't even know your passwords to none of them. Social media. We got Buffer. I am not familiar with Buffer. What's Buffer about?
Buffer's a scheduling tool. I think, part of the reason a lot of small business owners, at least when I speak to small business owners, a lot of the pushback I get from them on why they're not as active on social media as they need to be is because it's another task. It's another thing on the to-do list. It's another chore. It feels like homework. I'm trying to run a business. Ain't nobody got time to be over here on Twitter at the same time. So I always tell them, schedule it. Pick a day, Sunday night, to schedule some stuff to go out during the week and leave it alone, and Buffer is a good way to do that. Hootsuite's another one. I actually just switched from Hootsuite to Buffer, and I feel like I do like Buffer's interface a little bit better. But it's a scheduling tool, Sprout Social is another one that'll do it. I think you can schedule in Crowdfire as well, if we even get to that. But I think that's an option in Crowdfire. So we talk about content being king online, and it is. If your content is trash, ain't nobody gonna care about what you have to say. But
Right.
I like to say, I have an addendum to that consistency is queen. And if you're not posting regularly, you're getting buried in that algorithm, and you may as well not even exist. You know what I mean? You can't post, even once a week and expect to have the type of engagement that's going to drive, conversions or sales or anything like that's just, if you're thinking you want to use social media as a tool, as a marketing tool, you can't just post once a week and think that that's going to make an impact on your bottom line, because it's just not. You'll be buried by the time the next week comes around. Your account won't be popping up on anybody's feed. They won't be seeing your posts, like just the way that these platforms work. So the consistency is what's going to keep you in front of eyeballs. It's what's going to keep your SEO fresh. So those accounts actually bubble up to the top of the Google search. You can claim to have an Instagram account, but if you're not using it, it's going to show up on page 4. So, you want to take advantage of everything you have to be visible, to be as visible as possible, and to take some of that work off of you. You create some really cool social graphics in Canva, and then schedule them in Buffer, and then you don't have to worry about it for the rest of the week.
So quick sidebar, next week I am doing a workshop on Canva to teach people the basics. And one of the things I wanted to show on there was how to do a quote post. And I've decided I'm going to show people how to do a quote post, and I'm going to use content is king, consistency is queen, and I'm put Stephanie Humphrey. Like, that is a great quote.
Yes, please.
I love it. I love it. So that's going to be my example next week. I think that is
that's it.
Content without consistency is a waste of your time and energy.
It's an absolute waste.
To be that consistent. Yep.
You're welcome.
Yep. Thank you. So here's one I'm familiar with. I already got it. We have under here networking and lead generation, LinkedIn. I am a huge fan of LinkedIn. I think most people watching are probably familiar with LinkedIn. I'm curious, Steph, do you have a premium LinkedIn profile or no?
No, and I'll tell you why. Yep. I think everybody's familiar with LinkedIn. I think we kind of all know what it is, but when you start asking people, are you using it? Then it gets into the, my profile picture is 10 years old. And I don't go on there a lot. And I really hadn't updated my profile and such and such and such and such. And I hadn't done, you know what I mean? The conversation starts going way left, when you start asking people how active they are on the platform.
Right.
And even now in 2020, there's still far too many people that aren't active, that don't have an active presence on LinkedIn, and they're missing out on huge. Now, if you work for somebody else and you climbing that corporate ladder and doing your thing, and you may not see the value in it, but that would even be a mistake, I think, as well, because in this day and age, ain't none of our jobs certain. And at some point you might need to get back out here and start hustling again. So, you don't want to be waiting until that shoe drops to get out here and start building those connections and creating that network. But for business owners, especially, I'm a public, I do the TV stuff, but I'm also a public speaker. The bulk of my income comes from public speaking, and I get probably 70-ish% of my speaking engagements from LinkedIn. So it's just like, this is my lifeline at this point. You know what I mean? So there's not any excuse anymore for people not taking advantage of all it has to offer. To your question about the premium thing, no, I've had it on a few different occasions, and I didn't find it to be useful at all. First thing, LinkedIn charges you for the year. So understand that going in. I got caught out there on like a $400, annual fee because I thought they were going to bill me monthly, and they did not. And maybe I just missed the
Right.
clicking the button that said monthly versus annually. I don't think I did, because I know how my budget is set up. I just think I don't think there's that option. So be aware of that. If you do go that route, be mindful that you may be paying, the annual fee, and it's not cheap. Number two, I have never actually gotten, because the only reason I ever had the premium version is because they allow you what they call those in-mails. And an in-mail allows you to send email to anybody on the platform, not just people you're connected to. Because right now, if you're not connected to somebody, you can't send them a message, you can't, anything. And then it just defeats the purpose. And there might be somebody you really, really want to get at. So I would get it, just to be able to send emails to people. And they actually have this guarantee that your in-mails will get a response. And that's not true.
Right.
It's just not true. And I've actually, sent them like, I need my money back because I didn't get response, and just didn't hear anything back. So if you're using it for that, I would say save your money. I think you do have to be a premium member to access some of the learning platform, the LinkedIn learning platform. So if you really, really want to take classes on LinkedIn, you may have to upgrade for that. But other than that, I mean, there's all kind of little tips and tricks, you can do to kind of get to people sideways without paying for that premium feature.
Yeah, and I will add, you mentioned the LinkedIn Learning. That is a very impressive tool that has interactive training for pretty much everything.
Right.
So there used to be a platform called lynda.com.
Yep. They absorbed them. Yep.
And LinkedIn absorbed it, and now it's LinkedIn Learning, and that is a very impressive tool.
So it might be worth it for that. There's also, and I don't think this comes in the premium membership. I think you have to pay separately for this, but it's actually a separate app. But LinkedIn also has what they call their sales navigator, which is like their own content customer CRM, customer requirement management system, or whatever. And it is actually very, very robust. And can do a lot of different things, and it can link with your Salesforce and link with your, all the rest of those tools that you might be using in your job. So that could be something to look into as well. The Sales Navigator is a pretty powerful tool too.
Awesome. And before we move on to these other apps, I just haven't stayed up to date with what LinkedIn is doing with this. I'm curious if you know, but I recall earlier in the year, they started adding the live feature, and you had to apply to be someone who could go live. Have they expanded that to just like anyone can go live, or like maybe you got to be premium to go live?
I'm not sure. I still see in my feed people, pleading with LinkedIn to be added to that list. So I would say no, but I'm not sure. I haven't actually watched anybody's live on there yet. So I'm not sure about if it's open to the public now.
Yeah, if it was, we would be live on Zoom and LinkedIn. Love Facebook, but we would love to get this on the LinkedIn platform. So
absolutely, that's where your customer base is. Definitely.
One day we will be on all three of them.
That's right.
So we're going to go through the rest of these relatively quick. I know we're getting close to 1 o'clock, but these are our.
You can throw them all up, and I can just kind of speak to.
Yeah. We'll go rapid fire. I'll put them all up there. But these are the ones that are approved. So perhaps haven't used them all, but ones that you like. So you can start with whatever one you want to shout out first.
So, if you have a team, like I don't need Slack because who would I be communicating with? But if you have a team, Slack might be or some sort of communication tool might be something that could help you out. Project management, you and I were talking about Trello before we got on. It really, I'm getting comfortable with the idea of using it. Trello in particular is really easy and very sort of graphically based with, sort of drag and drop things. Evernote just still, and I know Evernote kind of is widely touted as one of the best sort of, I had add ideas into that. The interface is a little clunky to me. I've used Evernote extensively and OneNote, and I think those interfaces are still a little bit too clunky for me. Trello is, works for, I guess, maybe the way my brain works. Email marketing, any good business should have it. And maybe your, wherever you're hosting your website might already have this. I know my website's hosted on Wix, and they kind of already have a lot of that baked in. So it's not really cost effective for me to have a separate email client right now. I know at some point I probably do want to, port folks over, but yeah, if you're, just to manage that, because again, you got to have those contacts, and that list is what's gonna get you those conversions.
And MailChimp is free up to like a certain amount. I think you can get up to like import up to like 1,500 or 2,000 emails until they start to charge you.
Okay. Well, There you go. See, $3.99.
Yep.
WooBox, I actually just found out about WooBox, and I may start using this for social promotions. That's a great way for small businesses to get recognized. When you see those campaigns where it's like, hey, we're doing a giveaway, follow us and tag 2 people, and then we're going to pick somebody, and yada yada yada. Like, WooBox does all of that for you. So it randomly picks from your followers. It creates those campaigns. It does all of those sort of gamified social promotions for you. So it could just be a really good way to boost engagement, grow traffic to your social, get more eyeballs on your platforms. And then Crowdfire is sort of that all-in-one aggregator, scheduler, analytics manager as it relates to social as well. So you're going to be able to sort of track how your posts are doing. It'll actually suggest content to you, because that's the thing, content is king, but it's hard coming up with content all the time and trying to figure out, what am I going to post? What am I going to post? And so when you're thinking about content, it's not realistic, I think, to think that you're going to be putting out original content, 3 or 4 times a week, even twice. Hell, my 60-second tech break only goes out once a week, and I'm already like, oh, what am I gonna do next week? What am I gonna do? So, curation is just as valuable as creation. So if you're finding content around the web, articles, blogs, videos, whatever, you're seeing this content, it relates to your business, there's something you can add relevant to it. Don't just push a whole bunch of stuff out there. Like, don't be like Robert Kiyosaki, whose Twitter feed is literally just all reposts of randomness. Actually think about the content, add a comment to drive engagement, ask a question, even if you disagree with the content, add something there that will drive the engagement and motivate people to watch or read. And then schedule it to go out. So, Crowdfire just really does a very good job of being that one-stop shop for all of that kind of.
So is it fair to say that curation is the princess?
I don't hate that. I don't hate that.
Are we going to
creation is the prince and curation is the princess? Yeah. I don't hate that.
No, this is awesome. I definitely didn't really know much about WooBox at all. I'm gonna have to educate myself. Kevin, I know the other day we were looking at another email marketing platform that we were like, this is intriguing. It wasn't MailChimp. Do you remember which one it was?
There's so many different platforms out there. Constant Contact is a good alternative to MailChimp. Great for scalability, regardless of the size of your business. We're a big fan of HubSpot.
HubSpot's a good one, yeah.
Which is CRM and marketing automation lumped into one.
HubSpot just has great content too. Like their blog is amazing.
They've got great everything.
Yeah.
And depending on, what's appropriate for your business, it's also scalable. I mean, they have a CRM that you can actually use for free. And, they've got functionality up to, $1,500 a month if it was made sense for your business. I mean, it's with everything in between. So, we're a big fan of HubSpot. WooBox we actually use. We have at Navitas, we have a platform called GetKnown.biz with Get to Know Monco and Get to Know Chesco, where we create content based on spotlighting local businesses within the counties. And each platform does a quarterly contest, and we use WooBox to manage those contests.
Nice.
So,
how have you liked it?
You were new to it, but we've been using it for probably about a year and a half, maybe. We've been very happy with it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I totally forgot about because I hear WooBox in the conversations. I don't manage the back end, so I haven't had to be in it and use it much. But I'm thinking, like, I didn't know you could use it for social media specific contests. Like, it seems like that's a different usage of WooBox than what we do with ours because it runs through the website. But I'm going to educate myself on it and see what we can do, because I have tried to do a contest before, just like managing it myself on social. It's a little difficult. So I'm definitely
a little bit.
that.
We like that we can integrate the contest onto our website, because then we're driving traffic to the website, which is our goal. But of course, there is plenty to say that, sometimes you get higher engagement if you do keep it on the social platform and you don't force people to leave social media. So it all goes back to, what strategy is more appropriate for your business and your goals. I don't think one's necessarily better than the other, but what's cool is WooBox offers both options, so you can decide which one you want to use.
Right.
Nice.
Right. And I think one theme, other than free, because a lot of these things are free for to use. Slack is free. I've used that with some teams before as well. One of the other really big takeaways for anyone out there that's considering some of these apps is you heard Stephanie a lot of times mention interface and something being comfortable for her. That's a big part of these. That's why there's so many great brands that are doing the same thing. It's not to say one is better than the other in the service, but the way that you interact with it, the way that your brain receives that interface could be why one app is better for you than another. So don't jump into it. Try Trello, get discouraged if you don't like it, and then not do a project management system. Try another one, because it might be that their interface and their style works better with the way that you interact with the app. So I think that's a very important takeaway from all this is if you don't like one, don't give up on technology. Try another.
That's right.
You might like another one better.
That's a great point. Great point.
Indeed. And before we log off, do you have any questions on Facebook, Kevin? I haven't been watching the Facebook feed. I don't see any here on ours, which typically, Steph, when you don't have questions, that means you did such an amazing job explaining it. So thank you for all the detail you've given us and dropping this knowledge on some of these apps. But yeah, Kevin, did you have anything on Facebook?
Yeah, we've had a good volume of people tuning in, and as you just said, Steph must be doing something right. Just getting all the info out there.
I received that. I received that.
Right.
But even after this, we're going to be creating a blog post on our website that has the video of the recording of this conversation, and has everything typed out so they can see what the tips are. And of course, we're going to have this on YouTube. So I'm going to speak for Steph here that if anybody does have any questions after the fact, after they get to watch the recorded version of this, please reach out. We're here and excited to talk.
Indeed. And you got some contact info on the screen for Steph. Thank you for being here, Steph. And of course, she's TechLifeSteph. So I have a weird time calling her Stephanie or Stephanie Humphrey. Like, I know you as TechLifeSteph, and that's because
nobody calls me Stephanie anymore. I'm just like, I have successfully, solidified my brand in perpetuity. Like,
right.
Literally, people come up on the street and like, oh my God, TechLifeSteph. I'm just like, hey, what's going on?
That's beautiful. And again, you did your branding wonderfully. She is TechLifeSteph on all platforms. So whatever platform you're on, search TechLifeSteph, you will find her. And you also have some emails on there for booking and publicity inquiries. So if you want her to speak somewhere, you want to bring her to your company, you can reach out to those emails and connect. But again, thank you so much for being here with us, Stephanie. We really appreciated having you. And for all the folks watching, make sure you tune in 2 weeks. We're going to have someone you're familiar with, Stephanie. Kyrie Terrell will be joining us. And we're going to dive a little deeper into video content and production. So we look forward to seeing you on the next Thursday Thoughts, where we have thoughtful conversations with thought leaders from around the world. And until next time, we'll see you later.
Thanks for having me.
No problem.